W2 back with another video. I want to go over this topic. We are at fault. And you may say, what are we at fault for? I would say, as a collective, we are at fault for everything that is happening in the world. And once you start to see and take accountability and responsibility for your actions, um, you know, you are able to really dive more quicker into your consequences and gaining the wisdom from your consequences and understanding. But when you take a step back, we are at fault for everything, and as people. And it makes me think, there's a lot of movies and storylines that talk about this concept in different ways. One of the biggest ones that I can really think of is like with Avengers, with Thanos, and how Thanos was coming to basically kind of bring an end to humanity. And you see with Thanos, he kind of had this mission to kind of destroy, and he was kind of painted as the villain because he kind of wanted to wipe the earth. Uh, and you can see how focused he was for this mission. And when you start to kind of see, people and the actions, and it doesn't mean that everybody is bad or things like that. And this is not a message to create any sorrow or malicious ways, of thinking about people. The truth of the matter of fact is that everybody is here to learn on this earth. Uh, you know, as much as there is some type of bad in this world, I truly believe that there is enough space on this earth. There is enough abundance on this earth for people to kind of mess up and figure things out, and hopefully they work themselves out straight. And I believe that there is enough space on this earth to do so. But that being said, uh, it doesn't take the fact that you can be blinded to what you're doing, and and not understand the chaos that you're creating, not just on this earth, but for other people who are trying to do what they need to do here, um, in their lifetime. So I can give an example of this. Today I was, it was around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I decided to go to the park to walk. And this is a huge park. It's like a big soccer field. It has like multiple of soccer fields on it. It's just a big piece of land, open space, but they have like multiple soccer fields on it. Also, they have like a baseball field on it. So it's a big, wide space for people to do what they need to do. So I was there very early, and I decided to walk, do some stretching, and just listen to nature. It was nice. I got to see, I think it was a big, huge bird. I think it was a hawk. They have like this little like a little, I don't know what to call that water, but it's just like I would just call it like a little pond. And while I was walking, I actually got to see a beaver, and that was kind of in the area that I live, I've never seen a beaver. So I got to see a beaver just like chilling in the pond area, doing its thing. I got to see, like I said, a big bird. I don't know what, I think it was like a hawk or something. And I just got to hear the birds kind of just chirping away, and it was a beautiful sound of nature. While I'm just like, just stretching, walking, and kind of just getting the flow inside of my energy system. And I'm about to wrap up everything, but Here comes, a car coming in, and, and then there's another car coming in, and in my head, I'm just like, up, here comes people. And immediately when people came in, there was a disruption. A third car came in, a guy came out of the car. He sees a baseball on the floor, and he decides to throw it at something. But it just ripples a sound effect of disruption into the air. And in my head, I'm just like, wow. I continue to do my stretching and stuff like that. And then, here comes a whole bunch of kids and, their parents coming onto the field, and I believe there was going to be a soccer game that was going to come. So they come onto the field, they plug in their speakers and then playing, loud music and stuff like that. And it was just interesting to witness, because although I understand that, like, it's kids, parents are coming, they're gonna do their thing. It's a big field. I get it. And there was probably most likely a game that was coming on. So, I understand it, but it doesn't take away from the simple fact of, seeing what's actually going on Earth, and what's going on this plane. And as soon as people came onto the field, you know it's like I didn't see the beaver anymore. The animals are gone, and everything just vanished. And it's so funny, the other day I went to go see the movie Hopper, which is interesting that I seen a beaver inside of the pond, because the other day I just went to see. That's why it caught me, because I've really never seen like a beaver around my area like that. So, and I went to go see the movie Hopper the other day, and it was a very great movie. And it was talking about, like, the movie, if you went to go see it, it's basically based off of the example of that. So the movie Hopper, it talks about basically there's this community of beavers, and they're basically trying to rebuild this part of the land that used to be their home, because the beavers were kind of kicked out of their basically community because of this new leader. I think it was a mayor or something like that, but he came into town to build this new infill structure that the beavers used to be in. And to be able to, how he kicked out all of the beavers, he basically created a whole bunch of noise, sound effects, and built this new, I think, a bridge or something, I forget, in this community. But long story short, he created disruption that led the beavers to basically leave their land. And not just the beavers, but other other animals that were living there, they left because of the noise. And it was so interesting that I was basically having that example of what was happening on this big field. I was having that same experience. And although it's like, what the humans are trying to do, but at the same time, I think a lot of times we don't understand consciously what we're doing, of how, like, we're being out of sync with everything. We're being so out of sync with everything of nature. And it's like, even from now, I may get some slack on this, but it goes even into, even if we build a field to play some type of game, whether it's soccer, football, whatever it is, it's like, even within the game, we have taken nature outside of these systems. It's like, in some way, even within games, we don't notice, but we can invite nature to play along with us. If you use your consciousness and open your consciousness, you can, even within games or things, you can allow nature to come in to involve itself with you. And I think a lot of times we have disconnected ourselves from that plug, to the point that, you know, I truly believe, maybe I'm, in a fantasy land, but, I truly believe if you're connected with nature, and even though you're playing some type of game on the earth, um I believe that birds and, animals will come around you to enjoy, or they will be an audience, with you while you're enjoying the game, because your frequency is pleasing to not just the earth, but it's pleasing to the animals. It's pleasing to all of this source energy that they carry. And the beautiful thing about like birds, I love hearing birds hum, because, or they're they're speaking their language, because it comes with healing energy too, to hear their hums and to hear the way that they speak. Um, but it is poetry in its true essence, in its true form. And I think a lot of times we just don't know how much disruption we carry inside. You can see this with anybody. You go into stores, you go into places, and some people, like, you can hear it in the tone of how people speak or how they just handle other people. And a lot of times people don't even notice what they're doing. They don't notice what they're doing at all, because they're so it's so normal and it's so natural to them of how they talk or how they speak. But if they understood, it's not the their smell, their the way they walk, or the way they carry themselves, or their speech, their tone, it's not pleasing to the earth. It's not pleasing. It's not pleasing at all. Because if it was pleasing to the earth, you wouldn't see things run away from you. I truly believe that, like animals, babies or children, or things that are so in sync with life, it is a very beautiful indicator. It will show you your own true frequency, if you're in touch with it or if you're not. Because if things are running away from you, it will tell you that you're not in sync with what's going on around you, right? And it's a beautiful correlation. It's a beautiful correlation, because if you ever see, just take this picture from example, and I'll leave you guys with this. But what disruption does, and this is why I believe a lot of people who are in power, they think that in their mindset, they think that they're in power because things are running away from them. But what's really happening is that they're being disconnected. So it's not real power. Inside of their mind, they think it's power, but it's not. So when a disruptive force comes into an area, right, and it scatters, right? So when a disruptive force comes into a quiet space, and it does what it needs to do, whether it's you're trying to build, some type of infrastructure, or you're trying to or you're just trying to do something, right? uh and things are moving away from you, you're causing a disturbance. You're causing some type of, disturbance to the flow state. So, once you start to see these things inside of yourself, and you become conscious about the things that are around you, and how you're affecting those things, it opens up your eyes a lot. It really does open up your eyes a lot. you know um Even for me, I try to, be very cautious of, even the birds, or, you know um One of the biggest, I try to, sometimes I try to work with, rabbits. Rabbits are like, very, 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 like, they're very sensitive. They're very sensitive. Like, they're very, very sensitive. And rabbits, like, you can tell when you're affecting them, like certain movements or things like that, because they fidget very, like, quickly. And if you come next to them, they'll run. So, like, I know when, you know, I practice with my own energy, and I try to be as gentle as I can, especially when I'm around rabbits. And my own energy, or the way that I'm moving, I practice it with their motions, to see if I'm being too, if my energy is being too strong, if it's being too overbearing. And I've noticed how to be more gentle and with the earth. And when I'm gentle, when I'm walking or things like that, to do what I need to do, they don't move as much. Um, and I'm just like, okay, my energy is pleasing to them. It's gentle to them. So, I practice with them sometimes. They're very interesting, but when you open up your consciousness, animals can be a very, very sacred space for you to practice being more gentle with the earth. So I hope you guys like this message. Peace.